Total. No. Okay. Hello, hello. We're checking out everything. Picture seems pretty good. Hello, hello. That's okay. Hey, everybody. We are starting another little show. So here we go. And we will check it out. Okay. So we're going to start our live show. So hello, everybody. And cheers with my fin du monde, the rest of my fin du monde. So I think everything is all right. So I think it's going to be quite all right. We see the people are joining in. Counter is moving up. And everything is all right here. So hey, everybody. Welcome to this Shortwave show. Another Shortwave show for Saturday, 2000 hours UTC. And people were mentioning how it changed 1 hour from their local time. And yeah, well, that's because I kept the same UTC time, which was 2000 hours. So because we changed time in Europe, in North America, which it shifts 1 hour for everybody, but I'm actually at the same UTC time always. So it's not me that shifted, but it's our time that shifted. So hey, welcome to this Shortwave show. It's every 2 weeks on Saturdays. And we talk about shortwave radio. We answer questions, and of course questions we see in the chat rooms. Questions that I've noted here because today is going to be a Q&A, a questions and answer from emails that I've received and comments on the channel. And like I said, I've answered personally to most of these questions. But I thought, why not bring it up? A lot of people watching this are new to the hobby. And they just don't know. So, it's a great place to learn. And you know what? Everybody here is super cool and relaxed. So, there's no reason to not ask for a question or anything. Because it's, we're here for that. We're here to help. And if you can learn a little bit more, why not? So, hey, my name is Jill. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We are live on YouTube. And, of course, there's the YouTube chat room. There's the shortwave listening chat room from Digital to Dixon's, the IRC chat. And hey, welcome, everybody. We are going to answer questions today and talk about the radio in general. These live shows don't have typically a time limit. They can last 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. We had a record-breaking 5-hour one last week. So, we just go with the flow and what people have to say. And, I always check out the amount of people that are watching and everything. So, welcome, everybody. And here in Montreal, we're actually bracing ourselves for what could be our first snowstorm in the night of tomorrow, Sunday, into Monday. So, snow coming our way, and surely showing us that winter is slowly coming to Montreal, as it does every year. Hey, everyone. Hello, iMapper from Moscow. Nice to have you on board. XN80Xer, which is Keegan from Northwest Arkansas. We have also Salman Hamad. Nice to have you here. GLPL552. Hello. Neil Toombs. nice to have you here. And hey, Joshua Gosnell, nice to have you on board. MDK2, nice to have you here. And don't worry about it, Joshua. Richard Cook, nice to have you here. Theo T, pretty cool. Having a beer, that's cool. Having a beer with me, nice. In the cyberspace. QRP radio listener, Ponza from Ponza Island, Giuseppe IZ0 JZW, pretty cool. ZS1CDJ, Electronics and Amateur Radio, hello there. Nick Hamendo from Romania, hello there. Yes, you should get an ISS, an International Space Station signal. Even with a little antenna, it is usually very strong. And yep, I'm going to just take note of it. We're going to talk a little bit. We'll add it to the questions here. Talk a little bit about the RTL, SDR, dongles. We'll add it to the things we talk about today. So I think it's going to be a cool show. What else do we have? In the other chat room, we have Thomas Brogan. Good evening. Nice to have you on board from Scotland. Yeah, Gillette is a shaver. And watching some Metallica new album. Yeah, I saw your post. I think it was on Facebook. I saw posts going through from you, Joshua, that you were listening some good old rock music. Pretty cool. Kelly Taylor, N5STK in Southeast Texas. And yeah, sure, I will talk about my rigs. Neil Toombs has a cup of tea. That is great. You know, a cup of tea is cool when it's cold outside. You know, a little cup of tea or coffee. I like coffee, so have a warm cup of coffee. It's always cool. In the regular chat room, SG1 East Nebraska, Jill with no teleprompter. Nope, not at all. So I don't know. It's anybody having any other issues with the sync of the video and audio? Sandman X has sync problems. Hello, Stephen Cooper. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, it's a little different, 1 hour early for most people. SG1 East Nebraska says 10-second delay. Video looks real good. Cool. Scotty Tier 6 in Toronto. Nice to have you. 4 Celsius. Basking in the warm glow of his Racal RA17. That is cool. There's something to it when you think about it. So in MDK2 from sunny Denver. So here it's sunny. It's what? It's 9 degrees Celsius, which is warm compared to what. Hello PLF. Nice to have you on board. Joel G. No problem either. So there's, seems that maybe it's just. I know that sometimes some computers, when you actually stream or look at YouTube stuff, sometimes get out of sync. It just reload and it's fine afterwards. So it's probably something that happened while the buffer was going on and everything desynchronized. It's easy. It happens very often, by the way, on YouTube that the videos are out of sync, and then you watch it again and it's so fine. I think it's the way YouTube works, basically. Streaming on his TV. That's scary. Every time somebody tells me, you're on my 50-inch screen, it's like, I'm not sure I want to see my face on a 50-inch screen. And yep, it's you see it here. I'm just gonna take this one out and put it in the cold. So this is a clock where you can see the time, and so you'll know how many seconds delay you might have compared to, I don't know if there's a better way. Maybe like this is a little better. So you can see, when we're live. First of all, you'll know when we're live because you can watch the clock and say, hey, the guy's live. And this is correct UTC. Every time we start the stream, I always synchronize perfectly with WWV. So the seconds here are exactly to the second from WWV I always synchronize it. So 70-inch screen. Whoa. No. So welcome everybody. It's always cool to have everybody. Marco Fernand, nice to have you. And yeah, I know. I always, when I have a big beer, I always put it in a glass. But with small beers, I always like to have it directly in the bottle. Hello, Chris D. Nice to have you on board. Nick Amendot in Romania says 6 seconds delay. Wow, that is good. iMapper says it's warm 2 in Moscow +5. So pretty cool. Yes, it is a CRT monitor. The last CRT monitor I still have here, and for some reason I just can't depart from it. I don't know why. Maybe someday I'll see an LCD monitor somehow that's going to be real cheap, and I'm going to like dump this away. And but yeah, I use it from time to time. When people bring me a desktop, I often plug it on that because works great. Kevin O'Reilly, nice to have you here. Says good video audio in about 7 seconds in South Wales, UK. Really nice. Electronics and Amateur Radio says 20 degrees here in Cape Town. Yeah, that is good weather. I wish I would have 2020. Basically, any RF from your PC to the radios? A little bit, but not that much. Honestly, my PCs are rather quiet, and the fact that I have a shielded cable that goes outside helps in shielding all of that. Alan Schofield, nice to have you on board, says he still has a CRT monitor too. I've tried to give it away several times, but still have it. Nobody wants those. I remember posting on Facebook once. I have a lot of friends on Facebook, and I said like, hey, I got a 17-inch CRT. Just come and pick it up. Nobody wants that at all. So, hey. So, iMapper says prefers small, straight from the bottle to a Corona beer or IPAs. Cool. And yeah, that is the most important. One of the first issues with noise on a PC is the power supply. It is the number one cause of your interference. I can tell you that. And usually when you fix that, it's okay. And you know what? The only noise I do have Noisify. I've got 2 cheap power supplies that I've ordered on eBay from China. They are for replacement on an Acer and a Toshiba I got. These are awful. When I plug that, my S meter just jumps. So when I use those, I don't, because I'm not listening to the radio. But my Toshiba computer, its original power supply is amazingly quiet. So it's pretty good. Yeah, PLF, new medium wave station in Montreal, and maybe a second one coming 2017 on 600 kilohertz. It's kind of nice. So actually, if the license that people have actually asked for go through, we will have more medium wave or AM stations in Montreal next year than we ever had in the past. We will actually have more medium wave stations than 30 years ago we had here in Montreal. That means that, I don't know, some people still think that AM station is still worth it. What I'm scared about that new medium wave station here in Montreal on 940 kilohertz, and a lot of you, by the way, have DX'd that new AM station on 940 kilohertz. And the fact that it's a talk station and that the most popular French language talk station is already on FM 98.5, I don't know. You know, people tend to just stick to where they are. So if they're on FM, I don't think a lot of people will switch to AM. And that's not counting that I've seen a lot of cars now come with FM only radios. Meaning you're already, you know, a lot of people or a lot of companies seem to think that, hey, why the hell we put AM in any radios? It's not worth it. So I don't know. I'm wondering what audience that station is going to get. I think it's going to be nice after maybe a year or so to see the ratings, where that station stands out of all the other stations. Sandman X says, my fiance has cheap power supply for a laptop that wipes out medium wave completely. So Joshua Gosnell says he's hearing at 940 kilohertz from South Carolina. So cool. And that's really nice. Yeah, MDK2 says, notice bands from Asia and Western USA are good in pre-dawn hours again. They had pretty weak for a month or so. In the past 2-3 days, I've noticed that propagation seemed to be quite interesting. Very, very amazing. So let's hope that it, you know, holds through, because I mean, it's really, really, really cool to have these stations coming again. I heard Voice of Korea on 11710, just barely making it, but it was there, and you know, it's been a while since 11710 didn't propagate here. They've changed something, that's for sure, because 11710 Voice of Korea in the morning was a regular here for months. Suddenly last year at some point it wasn't there anymore, and now when I hear it, but it's weak. So I wonder if they've lowered the power because it costs too much money, because I gotta say they're not as strong as they used to be. So I wouldn't be surprised that they cut the power down a lot. So MDK2 says CRI in Russian was right in the middle of the 40 meter band this morning, strong as a local AM station at 1300. Wow, that's nice. One station I've been hearing a lot in the evening and I find cool is there's a ham station from South Africa that's been a regular in the evening here around 03, I'd say about 03 or 400 hours UT on the 40 meter band, around 7135 or so. Really enjoyed listening to that. Hello, Sammy. Nice to have you on board. Sandman X says, I listen to AM radio 90% of the time in my car. FM only is a deal breaker for a car. You know what? I almost never listened to FM radio. I was a big consumer of FM radio in my teenage years and younger adult, because I'd listen to music a lot. So I always had a station with music, and I gotta say, for music, FM is much better. And then, you know what? I stopped listening to FM stations for music because I just find that today's radio stations just broadcast crappy music. And I just make my own music basically through YouTube or on the internet, basically. So, and the streaming of music also is great. You know, with my internet radio, it's a gazillion times better than listening to FM radio. So I've pretty much stopped listening to FM radio except for a few things like listening to the BBC NewsHour via the VPR station in Vermont, stuff like that. But I almost never listen to FM anymore. When I did listen to FM, it was mostly for music. When and I mean, I was a big consumer. My radio And when I was a teen, in the 80s, my radio was on FM all the time, and I was like listening to music all day long. It seems that it's just not the same thing anymore, I gotta say. So, yeah, well, like Sammy says, radio is still relevant, that's for sure. I mean, I think it's there to stay. And PLF says FM has a lot of ads. That's true, but it's not just the ads. It's not just the ads. I mean, it's the quality of the radio station itself. And you know what? The only time that I could be listening to FM is, for example, on a Saturday evening. There's an old disc jockey from the 80s that used to be very famous in the 80s for his music and everything. And he's on another station today, which is a station that is for older people like me, because he typically, will put on some good old 70s or 80s music like I used to listen to in my younger years. Maybe that could be interesting, but even there, you know what? With the internet now, it's just so easy to make yourself a nice little playlist of songs that you just want to hear. And there's no ads and no crap. Well, there's ads. If you're on YouTube, there are some ads, but it's not the same thing, And you can just make your own, music that you want to listen to, basically. So that's for sure. I can tell you. What else do we have? 7120. Do you hear the pirate from Eritrea strong at night in South Africa? I've heard a carrier of it, but not strong enough to make out anything. I did hear the other day Voice of Tigray Revolution. I think it's in, isn't that in, Voice of Tigray Revolution is in Ethiopia, I think. I did hear a single from that the other day, which surprised me a little bit. The South African call sign. Oh God, you're asking me a question that I don't. I just don't. From the top of my head, I don't remember his call sign. I've posted a video on the channel once with his call sign. I'll try to remember it, but I just don't remember it right now. But he's on almost every night. Lately, he's been on almost every night around 03, 0400, around 7135, somewhere there, 7130, 7140. He's there in lower sideband. And he's packing a pretty good signal up here in the East Coast. And he's just like making contacts all the time. So I'll try to remember his call. Hey, Philip Briggs from Brazil. Nice to have you on board. I bet you it's much warmer there than it is over here. I can tell you that. TOT says Kari listens to AM talk shows, not into garbage music today on FM. One of the things, and I wish the laws would have been in that favor. I always thought that AM radio has its reason for existence. And I always thought that the talk stations should never have been on FM. That talk stations should all have been on AM, because music on AM is crappy. And so talk is perfect. Why not put all the talk stations on AM and just listen to, the music on FM? Only thing you want to have is music stations, and have more diversity of music stations also. So, Muffled Oars through Twitter says, my 3-year-old German car does have DAB, FM, AM, as well as shortwave, even if it's just the 49 meter band. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Here, no cars ever came with a radio that has shortwave. I can tell you that. It's almost there. First of all, hello, I'm Rat88, Tom Stiles. The list is supposed to come out, I would say Monday at the latest. I still have 2 or 3 frequencies that I want to check because I don't want to send it out with false information. So don't worry about it. It's coming soon in the next few days. It took me a little while here because of the new scheduled seasons. The frequencies change everywhere. So I wanted to make sure that the new frequencies, I can hear them, and what are the new frequencies for some stations. But I'd say 48 hours, it's going to be out and ready. So don't worry, it's there. The next edition is almost done, and it's going to be there for sure. Michael Ketchell, nice to have you on board. He says here in the UK, there's nothing on FM worth listening to. Would still rather listen to the BBC World Service and have a play around the shortwave bands. Yeah, I've pretty much abandoned FM also, except for very rare occasions. I gotta say. Hello there, want to know about question, not really related to what you're currently talking about. Do you have any opinion on the small handheld transceivers like the Yaesu VX6R and Kenwood TH F5A? Or F6A, I think. Sorry, a little far from the screen, but I think it's basically, I don't have a lot of knowledge or info about these, but I know what you're talking about. They do seem okay. I mean, if anybody else has any info on either the Kenwood TH F6A or the Yaesu VX6R, you can let me know. But they're probably not that bad receivers. Yaesu and Kenwood rarely make crappy stuff. In general, pretty much everything they have is good. So I would think they're not too bad. JLPL says 552. Yes, AM radio is good for talk. That's true. And Philip Briggs says beautiful spring evening, 28 Celsius and sunny. We're all going to your place to have a beer and talk about radio. What do you think, Philip? Well, I haven't heard many FM stations that are commercial free, I can tell you that. Sandman X says he's got a Kenwood F6A, nice for what it is. So even the shortwave on the F6A is pretty good. So Sandman X says it's pretty good. Not too bad. Why isn't shortwave channelized? It is in a sense in the way that it is. There are some specific areas for international broadcasts, amateur radio stuff, and everything. The problem is, on FM or on medium wave, you just pack a station on a frequency, and what happens is that you're going to stay there forever, or for as long as you want. On shortwave, it's complicated because of the schedule changes. Frequencies are always changing all the time. So it's kind of, a little complicated to do that on shortwave, and I don't think it's necessarily, a good thing. So Sandman X says he plans getting a new truck soon. Plan to put shortwave in anyways, but I still want an AM radio built in. I would still want an AM radio also, basically. I'm not, I don't like the fact that a car radio would have only FM. So that's for sure. Jerry says, love FM HD stations. Got an Insignia NS HD01A. Great HD radio. Shortwave Guest says, AM analog is able to be heard everywhere. It is the content and not ads. The subscription stations are an answer. Digital sounds takes huge bandwidth and also the cover better. Many are over processed. Yeah, one of the things that always is the same here when the CBC decided to shut down its AM medium wave signals and, focus on FM, it was immediately apparent, and a lot of, I don't think the CBC understood that well, that the coverage from their AM signal would be totally different on FM and would not be as good. And that's what happened. And they actually had here in Montreal to put 3 transmitters to get the same signal, 2 or 3 transmitters, because some parts of town didn't get 95.1 FM or 88.5, where on medium wave, when it was 690 and 940 kilohertz, the signal was received everywhere. So there's also, I think, a misunderstanding of AM for the most part. Sammy says AM is for sports. Well, we do have a sports station. It's okay as long as it's talk. AM is good for sports, for talk, all of that. As long as you just don't want to put music on it, I think AM is pretty good. AM stereo, never, I remember when the stations on medium wave wanted to be an AM stereo, and a lot of them did do it, but man, I've never owned an AM stereo radio. So, I don't know. I gotta say that I don't know. There's a lot of bad misunderstanding, I think, about AM and everything. And today the problem with AM is also the fact that there's so much interference now. There's so much noise on those frequency ranges that unfortunately it's something that is a problem, a big problem. So basically, really, medium waves for talk, and it's good for that. Talking is the best. And I think that's Jerry still has his boombox from the 80s. Cool. I've never owned an AM stereo receiver though. I would like to know that. So hey Crystal, nice to have you on board. I'm fine and pretty cool watching while you're doing dinner. That's not bad. I bought a lot of food today. Went to make the groceries just before the show, and there was some good specials. So I bought a nice big chicken for I want to cook tonight, and a nice roast beef for tomorrow. I think it's gonna be really, really good food. I'm gonna tell you that. Yeah, there are some examples, Tom Styles, Hamrad 88, that you can have copyrighted music in some copyrighted music in shows. But what it does is that it all depends on that specific song that you will put there. What are the rights or the issues with it? So, for example, if you go on YouTube, there is a list of artists and of songs that you can actually use that are copyrighted and that doesn't disable, for example, your monetization. But you gotta choose the correct one. It's not all the songs and it's not everything. It all depends on, and it's just too complicated. And so I prefer just to try to avoid putting a song, except for, sometimes I'll make a video of a pirate station or stuff like that, but I try to avoid most of the time. So, no problems. So, I just try to avoid this. It's the best, I think. ZS1 CDG Electronics and Amateur Radio says the VX7R is awesome. Not bad. So, pretty much I think both receivers, both radios seem to be pretty good. Want to know about. KC135R. This is M6XMN in Manchester, UK. I'm fine. Pretty good. pretty good, and nice to have everybody here. Philip Briggs says, welcome all here. Brazil is visa-free for Canadians now. So, cool. I'm heading over to enjoy the warm weather. We're having a snowstorm, so we'll have a few beers. I'm going to bring my radios, and we'll have a listen. What do you think about that, Philip? I think it's going to be cool. And basically, nice to have everybody here. Joshua says he's sticking to ham and shortwave. Yeah, that's pretty much most of my listening, shortwave radio. If I turn on a radio, it's almost always a shortwave radio. The only times I turn on a radio for some other thing is to leave a radio on when I'm gone to kind of pretend there's somebody at home. But apart from that, nothing. And really nice. Okay, what do we have here? Oh, wow. The ICOM ICR 8500, you mean that's here? And a ham fist for $400? That's not that bad a deal, actually. $400? It's a great radio, and at $400, it's starting to get really interesting, especially if it's working well, doesn't have any issues. Pretty nice. So, an iMapper. Okay, iMapper, well, going to Brazil. He says that he's also found that Brazil is visa-free for Russians. So let's head out to Brazil and have a radio fest. So, Hamrat says he's got a radio that receives AM and FM HD. That's cool. I should get one of those. I almost bought one of those receivers that received HD signals once, but never really did. Here in Canada, it's not really something that's kind of popular. Seems to be more of a US thing than anything else. So, kind of interesting. Yes, there are some issues on the R8500, Jerry. The most popular issue that people are saying is that the display starts blinking at some time. It doesn't change the reception or anything, but apparently some people complain that the display, the LCD, sometimes disappears and you got nothing on the display. The radio still works. Seems to be an issue with the display itself. I've also seen an issue with audio. Apparently some people are complaining that the audio is sometimes goes away, and apparently it's a contact. There's from what I've seen there's a transistor that is bolted to the metal cabinet, and when the contact between that transistor and the metal cabinet isn't good, it actually does some problems. So there are some known issues. Now, I don't know if it affects every version, because this version is one of the last versions that was done. There's a revision. When you look at the instruction manual, there's a number, a revision number that tells you this is version X of the ICOM ICR 8500. So maybe on this version, which is the last one that they did, maybe they fixed that issue. Maybe they changed something, and maybe it's fixed. Maybe not. I don't know. But I know that there were some modifications done on the 8500 with the months and the years that, this is a radio that has a long run. This radio comes from the 90s, basically. So it's basically an old analog from the 90s that was kind of updated from time to time to change a few things and make it better. So, yeah, the R8600, I gotta say, every time I see the R8600, I have radio fever suddenly. I can tell you that. And hello there, KG4CNA. Nice to have you on board. And the FCC, Sandman X says the FCC killed AM stereo, not picking up CQAM in the early 80s like they should have. Yeah, here it was, generally accepted, but So, oh, Jerry, no problem. Going to see the big guy, Santa Claus. I think it was today. Here too. I think Santa Claus parade was downtown today, I believe. And it's like, 10 degrees and sunny. It doesn't look like winter right now. But that's all going to change with our snowstorm coming over. Some places will have up to a foot of snow on Monday. So I guess it's going to be the time to maybe make the Christmas tree. I think Monday it's Christmas tree day for me. With the snow outside and everything, I think it's going to get me in the mood of, putting up the Christmas tree. So Neil Toombs says, don't worry, Gilles, we'll have our R8600 soon. Yes, I hope so. I really would like that. So Kevin O'Reilly says, I had heard that got an ICOM R70, super receiver, but getting old. Yeah, these are great receivers, basically, the R71A, these are old receivers. They're good receivers. When you get them at a decent price, it's pretty cool. Neil Toom says, my R8500 works great as I won it on eBay 8 years ago for £300, which is about $500 Canadian. Not too bad. That's not too bad of a price for a good working receiver. I bought it brand new for $17.50, so, have you heard that some serious solar storm is predicted for next week? Well, I follow a lot of these things, and I can tell you one thing is that right now there's really nothing much happening on the sun, except what's happening is that there's a big coronal hole on the surface of the sun. And a coronal hole is an area where the solar wind escapes in space much more. So basically, that means that in the next few days, we might have a lot of disturbing geomagnetic storms because of that. It's not because of any solar flares or anything. It's really just that the solar wind will probably be stronger in the next few days, and it often has an impact on our geomagnetic field. So yes, in the next few days, especially because the hole is pretty big, I think it's going to affect many days in a row. So if you guys find that shortwave's a little crappy this week, it's possible. It's really possible because of that. So pretty good. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of disturbance in the next few days probably. PLF Jill, thanks to your video about Stanag, I made some research and I found a website about different types of signals of radio. Yeah, well, you know what? It's something that I was thinking about at some point. In a week or two ago, I was thinking, somebody asked me a question about what was this sound on shortwave, and it came to me that, well, you know what? A series of videos on what this is. So every sound. So one of the things that I did was, of course, take the first one was to take the Kodar, which we hear everywhere, but nobody knows what it is. And so I thought, hey, let's explain Kodar. Kodar, which is basically radar to scan for speed and height of the ocean waves. And there's these antennas are scattered all across the coast around North America. So we hear those all the time, but a lot of people hear that little chirp chirp signal and wonder, what is that? And so I thought, you know what, making a series on what each sound on shortwave is about. So that one was about Stanag. I had the other one about Kodar. I think it's interesting to know, when you hear something, we're all like, what is that? Sounds so mysterious. And I think I thought it was a good idea to make a series to explain all of that. So yeah, Chris D will have some probably some geomagnetic disturbances for sure. So hey, Signal Hunter, nice to have you on board. Yeah, but I would guess the R8500, even brand new, should drop. With the R8600 coming on now, I think it should be better. So, you know, well, it's Joshua says bye-bye HF with good for 6 meter. But you know what? One of the things you got to be careful. Often um, when you listen to shortwave during a geomagnetic storm, there are some signals that are enhanced. I've often noticed that signals from north-south, so signals from, for example, here in North America, signals from South America tend to be stronger when there's geomagnetic storming. The east-west signals are almost inexistent. So there are changes. It's not like it's totally zero. It's different. Of course, if you want to listen to your favorite station, it might impact, and you might not have it as usual, and you'll say, well, shortwave is rather bad. But it's different. That's for sure. So yeah, PLF, I thought it was a great idea too, because it never came to my mind that maybe people would be interested in knowing, well, that weird sound on shortwave, what is it? Where does it come from? And I think it's I think it's interesting. Jerry says he's already got his R8600 on his list for Santa, so getting the R8500 is out of the question. Yeah, well, of course, if you don't have an R8500, yeah, I think getting an R8600 might be interesting. So, hey, we are live on the Shortwave show, and of course, we've got a few questions today and answering questions from the chat room also. Want to know about says, have another random question. When you use a portable or desktop receiver for receiving only with a long random wire, say 100 feet or more, should you ground the wire antenna? Well, if you install a long wire outdoors permanently, technically, yeah, it's better to ground the radio, and it's also good to just make sure that you disconnected if you want, but you don't ground the antenna itself. You ground the radio. Because the antenna if you ground the antenna, it's not going to receive anymore. Typically, the signal is going to go to the ground. So what you do is you don't ground the antenna, but for example, if the antenna comes in your home through a shielded cable, you'll want to ground the shield, but not the actual antenna itself. If it's for, say that you put it up temporarily, it's not a necessity. And on a portable receiver, it's also not necessarily, it's not like a tabletop. Grounding on a portable receiver is not the same thing, since it's often isolated in its own box. It's not like a tabletop that already is electrically wired to your house electricity. But, of course, you want to ground the shield to make sure that the noise doesn't get to the wire itself when you're getting it. So it will cut part of the noise from from inside your home, for example, on a shielded cable. But a ground does not always work well. It all depends on your setup, the way you are, how long the ground is going to be before it is grounded officially, stuff like that. So it's a lot of experimenting is to be done depending on your setup. So yeah, if you put a resistor at the top, it becomes directional, but that's a different thing, of course. You can of course have a directional Well, a long wire is technically directional also, but because of the way shortwave works, directional is more or less accurate because of the way that the sky waves come back down. But yeah, if you put a resistor and ground a resistor, you can have the antenna become directional. Yes. But try to keep your ground wire as short as possible, if possible. But my desktop here, the shielded ground is in the backyard because I'm high up here. So the thing is, the only way that I can ground it is either to ground it on a cold water pipe here, which doesn't work anymore because the water pipes have been changed for plastic ones. So the grounding here doesn't really work anymore. So the only way I could ground it is either to put a long wire because I'm very high up. So basically what I did is the metal shed in the backyard here goes all the way down to the ground. And it kind of does a really, does a good ground for me. So I grounded on the metal shed, the shield of my receiver. And the wire antenna, of course, goes through the copper wire inside that shielded cable. And it works reasonably well for me. And of course, one of the things you want to make sure is if you have any long length of wire outdoors, remember to take it out when you unplug it from the receiver when there's thunderstorms, stuff like that. And even high winds is very surprising, but remember that 100 feet of wire in the wind can actually make and accumulate pretty much a lot of static electricity. It's very surprising. So you got to be a little careful sometimes. Samuel says, are there many Canadian rebel CBers running 20 kilowatt mobile stations? Not a lot. It seems to be much more of a US thing because I hear all of the guys from the southern US. But yes, there are some CBers here that do have a few things. Some even should be careful. Because, for example, we have an out-of-bander guy here that often is on 27555, which is technically illegal. And he often tries to contact European stations. But the thing is, when I listen to 80 meter band, I see that it's the same guy. So I don't know. I think some people should be careful because I think an amateur radio operator that does illegal transmissions might actually get some bad could get his license removed. So basically, got to be careful. But there probably are some Canadian CBers running kilowatts like the South US ones, but I don't hear a lot of them. It seems I hear mostly the U.S., from the southern U.S. states and up to New York, and the guys running really high power. So as we're talking about the sounds of shortwave, PLF says when you hear these sounds for the first time on shortwave, you can be a bit scared. After when you know what it is, you're not anymore. Yeah, you know what? When I got my first receiver, shortwave receiver, I was listening with my friend, and one evening, and we had very low light, and we came across some of these signals, and we were like, it sounded creepy. Some signals do sound creepy. Hello there, Mad Boy. Good afternoon. Nice to have you here in the live show. So it's to check it out and see what's happening and. Even if you don't, try to ground it the best you can and see the results, and you'll see. Don't go over crazy over grounding. Yes, it can help. It sometimes doesn't. It all depends on the setup. You know, like here, I'm far away from the ground. It's complicated. So pretty much anything I do to try to ground it isn't the best idea. But you know, try it out, and you'll see if it works or not. And don't worry too much about it. I think a lot of people worry too much about the perfect example of how to make an antenna, and sometimes forget that, you know, just have fun. Put that wire out and try anything and see how it goes and how well you receive, and have fun. You know, there's too many people out there that are too technical and just like, well, you got to do this and that and ground like this, and it's like, sometimes I feel like saying, shut up, just let the guy have fun, put out a wire antenna, and you'll see. That's it. That's it. So, you know, enjoy yourself. That's the most important thing. And, you know, you'll see how you can make things better by playing around with your wires and everything. And, you know, putting more wire, less wire, longer antenna, shorter antenna, changing its direction, changing its pattern. You know, that's part of the fun. And don't go too crazy on the technical details. Sometimes it doesn't change that much, honestly. It all depends what you're going to do. So, you know. What else do we have? Wow. Chris Little was picking up the Japanese slot machine on 8595 kilohertz today. 30 over at one point. Wow. Pretty nice. Yeah, if you're close to the ground, you can sink a copper bar or some you know. I remember using an old golf club where I used to live before. It was close to the ground, and I had used a golf club that I put in the ground to ground my radios. So, you know, TOT says he used to run 1 kilowatt on CB, but it stopped now. Well, you know, you'll see. Yeah, well, like Philip Briggs says, you know, most portable receivers don't technically have a ground connection or a way to ground a receiver. Those are not made to, you know, they weren't made to basically be used technically with, you know, outdoor antennas and complex systems with grounds and everything. And yeah, JT65 does sound weird the first time you come across it. JLPL552 says, look like, yeah, I got a Pro 2006 right here. Great little receiver. I've owned this for, what, we're in 2016. It's about 16 years old. And really enjoyed it. Used it a lot. I need to change the display. The electroluminescent green stuff is worn out, so it doesn't light up anymore. So, but it's a great receiver. I did all the mods on it to make it scan a little faster, to receive analog cell phones and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun in the 90s with that. It was one of my main radios, and it still works great. I still turn it on from time to time, and it's a great receiver. So, Philip Briggs says CBers from the southern U.S. regularly skip into southern Brazil on AM. They sometimes block the local truckers, and not bad for 1,000. Same thing here. Here they are so strong that any local CBers that would be on these channels would be washed out by those CBers. Can tell you that. So so just play around and you know, have a lot of fun. Have a lot of fun. Hey, Shortwave guest says tune in, but unfortunately, old computer working today doesn't have a sound card. Have to download later. Well, at least it was nice to have a little hello from you, Walt, in Victoria, British Columbia. So pretty nice. And I really need to have a listen to that DGDX broadcast also. It's always at times that I'm not at home. That's the worst of the DGDX stuff. Cuban Lady on 16180, not strong. Let's just try it out here, see how it is. Yeah, in the noise about S6 here is S5, S6. Cuban numbers 16180 right now in AM. For those that want to try a Cuban station. Hossie Orlando, nice to have you on board from Australia. Pretty cool. So yeah, well, it's evening or afternoon, and it depends where you are, basically. And if we think in UTC terms, well, it's good evening for everybody, basically. Oh, different times this week, 11:580 at 20:30 and 23:30. I tried to do it. 20:30 is 3:30 p.m. here. That one might be possible. Even 23:30. I'm gonna have to check it out. So yeah, 15770 has not been very, very good. So yeah, well, you know what, Sammy? The reason is I'm an hour early is because I stayed on the same UTC. I used to have it at 2000 hours UT on daylight savings times, and what happens is now I've kept it at 20 UTC, so it's an hour earlier for everybody that was on daylight savings times. So if you guys prefer me to push it an hour later, I can do it. I don't mind at all. I'll put it at 2100. I actually even thought about it. Maybe I should push it to 2100 instead of 20. So it's all up to you guys. If you guys prefer me to push it to 2100, I can push it. But the fact that I also kept 2000 is the fact that I thought, well, for those in Europe that are a little farther east, well, at least, it's an hour earlier. So it's a little easier for them that sometimes listened in at like midnight or 1 a.m., So, well, that's the thing. Yeah, there's what happened, Stephen Cooper, is last week I had a family gathering. So last week was supposed to be the Saturday hangout. But because of the family gathering, I couldn't do it. So what happened is I moved it this week. And I am going to keep the 2 weeks starting from this week. So now we'll be every 2 weeks starting this Saturday. And a couple of people actually told me also that they would have preferred me to change the Saturday that I was on. So maybe, it's going to also help at the same time. So KG4CNA says, Cuban Lady, about S8. So, yes, I did see, Stephen Cooper, you had a nice little trip down in the United States. Pretty cool. So, yeah, last week I had the family gathering. So from now on, we're going to be every 2 weeks starting this Saturday. I think it's going to be okay. Scotty says 15770 is 9 plus 30. Let's try it out. This, yeah, about S8 here. Actually better than usual. It's not been that strong lately, 15770, which is a WRMI. So, interesting. Philip Briggs, do the Argentine volume at 5475 and 8952 reach to North America? I often hear Gander 6604 during local evenings, 10:0051 come in around local dusk. I have, I've tried two volumes, the ones from Brazil and the ones from Argentina several times, and had no luck at all in receiving any of them. To a point where I was almost wondering if they were still on the air. So both the Brazilian ones and the Argentine ones, never received them at least up here in Canada. Maybe somebody else heard them But here in Canada, I've not heard. Kevin O'Reilly says, can watch a bit more of the show when it's at 20 UT. So, Neil Toombs likes the 100 hours personally, as I can stay awake. So, I think we're gonna stay 2000. Waltz also says 2000, and so we'll keep 2000. It's basically up to you. The idea behind the time that I use to do the shows is to try and reach the maximum amount of people. Where I know 2000 is complicated is for when I do, for example, the Friday shows, because technically in North America, it's pretty much everybody is working. So a lot of you might not be able to reach, because in North America, you guys are working. You can't really watch, So, yeah, it's MDK2 says it's hard to get Radio Exterior de Argentina in America. Never mind their vomits. So, yeah, it is difficult to hear Argentina here too. I gotta say, really, it's really, something. Hello, Brad Lowe. Nice to have you on board. And had the first wave of snow through earlier today. We're gonna have our snow tomorrow night and Monday. So we're gonna get into a snowy moment in Erie, Pennsylvania. So pretty cool. I've heard a lot of things. JPL552 says found PSK31 on illegal CB frequencies. I've heard slow scan television. I've heard PSK31, some radio teletype. There's all sorts of signals to be heard there. It's pretty surprising sometimes. Simple Electricity, nice to have you on board from the Czech Republic. Cool. Always nice to have everybody here. So really nice. O2 Thief, nice to have you here. Says now my apartment is being renovated. Will the scaffolding act as a Faraday cage and block shortwave signals? Scaffolding being put up next week. Well, it might have an effect, surely, somehow, but I don't think that it's. I don't think it should affect that much. Unless you're surrounded by metal, I don't think it's gonna have that much of an effect. I don't think so. KC135R says we don't want snow, thanks. So really, I like snow. I'm the kind of guy that everybody hates because I just hate snow. I just love snow. Sorry, but everybody hates snow, but I love snow. So depends on everybody. Tatoy Crisanto from the Philippines. Hello there. Nice. Welcome to our live show in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We're located. Apparently, I don't say it often enough. A lot of people saying, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" You don't say where you are. And I sometimes take for granted because everybody is watching me all the time that everybody knows where I am. But I also forgot that a lot of people see me for the first time also. So yeah, I'm located in Montreal, Canada. And just a quick roundup of the next shows. So the next live shows for radio, next Friday, November 25th, we will be on at 2000 Universal Time for our tuning the shortwave bands, where we tune around and compare signals. And then in 2 weeks, we will have the wideband YouTube show where we talk about police scanners, VHF, UHF, and pretty much everything radio. Friday, December 2nd. Yep, already the month of December coming up at 2000 UT. And our next show for Saturday is December 3rd at 2000 hours UT, where we talk about shortwave. So that's the shows that are coming up. And for the other, yeah, I gotta do like the FCC asks. Every 15 minutes, you got to give the identification of your station. So basically, I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, on Tuesdays. For those, some of you know it because you follow me there too. But on Tuesdays, for those that want to follow, I have a tech show Tuesdays at 2000 hours UTC on my Windows channel where I answer everybody's questions for computers and technology and everything. So it's pretty cool for that. Yeah, I know most of the world stops when there's just like 1 centimeter of snow. It's like everybody goes crazy. Here, you know what? We have a foot of snow, and it's like life is still continuing as usual. It's like snow or no snow. It's just no difference at all, basically. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Christelle loves recording snow with his time-lapse camera. That makes it a kind of cool video, I gotta say. What antenna do I use and where are they located? I have a mobile vertical for VHF, UHF in the backyard on a metal shed, which is on the 3rd floor of where I live. So it's above rooftop. It is amazing for what it is. And I have a sloper, 22 meter long sloper that goes down in the backyard. It's 22 meter long. It ends into a 9-1 unun or balun for those that prefer that name, but it's a unun because it's only for receive. And it's noisy, but it's surprising what I can still get with those 2 antennas. And you know, for somebody right smack in the middle of a big city, I can't complain too much, I gotta say. So Philip Briggs says, oddly, I am about 900 miles from Buenos Aires, and I hear very few radio hams from there. But there must surely be many in the city region over 12 million. Yeah, probably, but you know, sometimes they're too close, or maybe you're not listening to the proper bands. You probably would have maybe a little luck on the 80 meter band at night, or the 40 meter band maybe. You should, so, you know. What else do we have here? Yeah, it's an amazing antenna that I've got for mobile. I got to say, for the VHF UHF, I'm really surprised at it. I can tell you that. So okay, what else do we have here? So MDK2 says HM01, the Cuban lady was S9 plus 20 in Denver. Good. What is a S unit? I don't remember the exact measuring of each S unit on a receiver's scale. I just don't remember what's the you know, from one S unit to the other, how many, you know, dB more gain it is. But you know, S units you gotta take and leave, because from my experience, if you take 20 different receivers, they all are often calibrated totally differently. So S7 for one receiver might be S5 for another, or S9 on another. Unless you really take the time to play around and make sure that you you know, use equipment to calibrate your S meter. 90% of S meters are off scale. They're not showing the correct signal strength most of the time. So Austin Orlando in Australia says, speaking of long wire antennas, for a long time I used speaker wire stretched over my father's grapes down or driveway at home. Yeah, you know, everything works. The idea is to have fun and try it. That's it. What is that on 15221? I don't know. We're just going to check what's 15221 here. Well, there's a station on 15220 on AM, so it's about halfway my scale. With some music right now, 15220. So it's 15220, I believe, here. So it's not 15221. It's Voice of America, I believe. I'm just going to check it out here to make sure, but I would think that 15220 is, let's just check it out. Search 15220. Right now, 15220 broadcasts Voice of America from Greenville in North Carolina. So this is a Saturday-Sunday broadcast, 20-20-30. And then again at 20-20, let me just check here. It's probably longer because 2100 doesn't show anything. And we're at what, 2115. But it must be the Voice of America, I would say. CR in Creole. This is added broadcast. Voice of America added some Creole broadcast to Haiti because of the devastation they had over there with the hurricane a couple of months ago. And so this is added broadcasts. So if I look precisely on mine, my ICOM, my CR8500 does give me 15220 very precisely. So I don't know. That's what I get. But it's a Voice of America that added their broadcasts to Haiti. It's a special broadcast that's been added now. So I guess somebody still thinks that shortwave is still important. Signal Hunter wants me to talk about passive antenna tuners. An antenna tuner doesn't do anything on shortwave for reception. An antenna tuner is good only for transmission because you got to tune your antenna to make sure that you radiate the maximum amount of energy, and it's important for a transmitter to really match well with the antenna. But on reception side, antenna tuners do not have an effect, or so little effect that it's almost impossible to see. So that's why you don't see any difference on your Texan PL660. It shouldn't do any difference. Rarely does anything antenna tuners wise on reception, but only on reception. So Hi-Fi 88 from Baltimore. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. KC135R says, yep, was in Canada in 74, 75 in the winter, and it was cold. Yeah. Pretty cold. So, you know what? Hey, Southern Illinois, nice to have you on board. Antenna amplifiers, like, you know what? It all depends. Antenna amplifiers is not always good. One of the things, it depends on, you know, the type of antenna that's plugged into it. For example, there are moments where an antenna or an amplifier on the antenna might actually improve signal if your antenna is short and it can't really get a lot of signal. The amplifier will often help you. But you know what? A lot of the antenna amplifiers, you got to remember, it doesn't only amplify a signal. It also amplifies the noise. So you know, it depends, and it depends on the quality of the antenna tuner, the antenna, active antenna also. There are some good active antennas, usually high quality, like there's the Sony AN1 or something like that. That one is rather good, and most people that use it, but it's not something that you put a long wire on most of the time, especially because it really can easily overload. Kevin O'Reilly says it depends on the antenna and the band using the antenna tuner. Well, I'd like to see several antenna tuners and different conditions and bands. I won't say that it doesn't work at all, but I'd be curious. From most of what I've seen, antenna tuners didn't really help. But maybe depending on the receiver and everything. But most of the time, I've not seen much difference. TOT says antenna tuners never help him to receive. I don't know. Most of what I've seen doesn't do anything, or not it doesn't do anything. I'm going to rephrase that. All the ones that I've seen did very little that were really important. So Kevin says that he had one, the FRT 7700, the FRG 7700 antenna tuner, and FRT 7700, a medium wave, and it worked well. But it depends. Maybe it depends on the antenna tuner's quality also. It all depends, Might depend on the antenna itself also. We should gather up and have all the antenna tuners and try it out and have an antenna tuner test. Southern Illinois says got an antenna amplifier where Radio Shack has a telescoping whip, RF gain, and 9-volt battery with the phone jack for radio. So yeah, most RF gains, most amplifiers will usually be for people or for conditions where you don't have a way to put up an external antenna, for example. It all depends. Hello there, Calvin. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have here? So hello, Fastload. Nice to have you on board. Welcome. And yeah, Voice of America is still running, but I think it's Voice of America. It's probably running longer than the schedule's mentioning. So thanks for the PLF for the links to the information on S units. Hey, William Helms, nice to have you on board, and says he's actually built a 9-1 balun made from a subwoofer magnet tonight. He's going to try that out. Cool, that's experimenting. So welcome, William. Nice to have you on board from down in Florida via email. Also, Susan in California saying hello via email. And she was saying that she's saying that she's a little shy to go in the chat. You shouldn't be. These people are great. And you know what? Having a few more women in the chat, I'm pretty sure the guys are not going to say no to that. But it's all right. And, you shouldn't be shy. Some people are shy, and it's okay. And I mean, it depends on everybody. But, we have a great gang here, and I don't think anybody should be shy to just, get on the chat rooms and have fun. I can tell you that. Hello, everyone. So we have Tree Hugger. Nice to have you on board. KB3AUM. Always cool to have you on the line. Carol, nice to have you on board from Oregon. Pretty cool. John Turlington from North Carolina joining us also. Jeffrey Crop, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire, if I remember And I always try, sometimes I mix up. I always try to remember where everybody is. Sometimes it's, Theo says, time to identify your location. Yes, I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, in case somebody doesn't know yet that I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I found it so funny yesterday, that guy that came in through the wideband hangout and came in the chat and said, who is this guy? Is he famous? And everyone was saying, well, that's Gilles from Montreal. Yeah, it was just funny. I just thought it was funny. So, Ringway Manchester, nice to have you on board. Thank you very much for the nice comment. I hope everybody enjoys. Yeah, maybe I should put a big poster saying Montreal or something. I don't know, with, I don't know, the Olympic Stadium or something. So, Gilles identifies his location like a medium wave stations. We are located in Montreal, Canada. Oh, man. Hotu Teef, I have contacted ICOM, and I'm going through the hoops. I've contacted the right persons, and I'm supposed to have a comeback. So I'm waiting for a comeback on the email. Hopefully. We never know. Yeah, we're going to try that. Southern Illinois, it says, going to listen to the Pirates on the American Thanksgiving. That's for sure a week where there's going to be a lot of Pirates next weekend, with Thursday Thanksgiving. I believe it's Thursday. And all the weekend. So there's probably going to be a lot of Pirates on the bands next week. So pretty sure. Let me just check something here. I'm going to check out if by any chance any Pirates right now. Yep, 5150 kilohertz, guys. S9 right now, almost S9 plus 10, 5150. And this one's been there almost every week. I even heard them Tuesday. So there's a Pirate on 5150, packing an okay signal. Any other Pirates right now? Any other thing that we hear? I don't hear anything else, but there's a North American Pirate, which is the relay station. 5150 kilohertz right now. So they're having music, not relaying the show today. So they can't relay the show all the time. That would be crazy, relaying the show all the time. But this week's going to be a good week for Pirates, I can tell you that. Brent Wilson from Ohio loves my show. Thank you very much. KD8RBU. It's fun when everybody IDs with its AM call. It's cool because sometimes maybe a lot of you are hams, so it could sometimes make some contacts. It's pretty cool. And Philip Briggs says, yeah, good idea. Give 80 meter a try, but here below 4 megahertz, very noisy. I've heard 10 meter AM activity also, but that was a contest. Yeah, and 10 meters, remember, if you're 900 miles away, 10 meters might actually skip over you. You're better in the lower bands. What you could try is late afternoon 40 meter. 40 meter band might actually give you some Argentine stations also. Ringway Manchester says, do you listen to number stations at any time? Do you find them interesting? Yeah, there was one earlier. There was the Cuban one on 16180, not about half an hour ago. And yeah, I regularly like to tune into these number stations. They're mysterious, and it's always fun to know that you're listening to some kind of broadcast. So who knows? So what else? MDK2 says WJFK was just reported half an hour ago. That's one to listen to for as the anniversary of JSK's assassination comes up. Oh, yeah, that's of course something that there are things like that we don't think, but that's true. Alan Schofield says he's hearing nothing on 5150. Neil Toombs doesn't hear anything also. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Everybody's giving their calls now. So we've got John Turlington, KJ4ZTV, Alan Schofield, KG4CNA, Neil Toombs, M0CJM, Ringway Manchester was M3HHY, Bullfrog 89, sorry, hello to have you on board, KD2CXJ, so CXU, sorry. I really need new glasses, I gotta tell you guys. And I've put the text so small on my screen that I... Kevin O'Reilly, JW0KIJ, for over 30 years. That is nice. Scotty Tier 6 is VE3UVA. So really, really nice. Bradlow, K5BDL. Calvin is EI3JR. Chris Little, M3SXK. Carol is KF7ELY. So Mad Boy is jealous of all the call signs. So yeah, that is cool. KC135 says it's good to have everybody give their call signs. M6XMN, that is nice. Really nice to have everybody giving out their... Calvin, not that much. We're been up for an hour and a half, but we're just babbling along and answering questions. So, we're just chatting. So, just checking it out and having fun. Yep, I'm doing well. And, that's cool. He's put a ground wire on his, a ground connection on his long wire, and it's doing much better. So, yeah, because, on a shielded cable, it's gonna lower the noise because it's gonna shield really well your cable. So PLF says you're quite famous, aren't you? Well, I don't know. It all depends what famous is all about. If somebody says famous as you have millions of people watching, actually no, I'm more of a nobody. If you're say famous in maybe a specific field, I think my name is going around a little bit on shortwave, so a lot of people in the shortwave sphere know me kind of from far or from near, and I've been participating in the shortwave hobby for a long time. So yeah, yes and no. I don't know. It all depends what famous is for someone, basically. Scotty Tier 6 says, lonely gals with computer troubles. SG2 is Nebraska says 5150 is nothing over there right now. Hey, Richard, Atlanta. Nice to have you on board. What frequency is Mighty KBC currently transmitting on? It is on 6. Let me just recheck not to say anything. 6. Just want to make sure I'm not saying something wrong. The Mighty KBC is broadcasting to North America tonight on 6145. I was about to say 6045, but it's 6145. So 0 to 0100 hours tonight. 1 hour show apparently. 6145, the Mighty KBC, and it's broadcasting from German relay. So it's broadcasting from Germany, and it's 6145 for the Mighty KBC tonight. And with propagation being not too bad, I think that shouldn't be too bad. What does that wall plate say? It's in the upper right in the video. Where do you see that? You see it right above the monitor, you mean? It's a friendship thing. A friend of mine gave me that last year, and it's kind of a recipe. It's made in the form of a recipe, so it's like 1 pinch of confidence and 2 pinch of friendship and whatever. It's the best recipe for friendship for life or something like that. So that's pretty much what it says. It's one of those little cute things that a friend gave me. I believe it's at Christmas last year. So Aussie Orlando saying, I still remember hearing about JFK on shortwave and freaking out when I was a kid. Wow. Yeah, in the shortwave field. Somehow famous. Especially if, you consider that I have a lot of hate mail, I guess. And here we have Ghostbusters music team on 5150. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. So, what else do we have here? One time pad, nice to have you on board. Neiltube says, good set of UK calls. Yeah, a lot of UK calls. I got, it's funny. I don't know if it's how, the way that YouTube works or something, but even on my YouTube, my Windows YouTube channel, basically, you know what? I've got a good chunk of viewers from Canada, the United States, and the UK. And of course, a little bit of viewers from different countries. And it's the same for the Windows channel. So both the radio channel and the Windows channel have the same kind of, there's a lot of people from the UK, there's a lot of people from the United States, there's some viewers from Canada, and then there's a few viewers from here and there in different countries around the world. But the main countries, United States, Canada, and the UK. It seems that for some reason YouTube reaches that area better. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So, yeah, I've been a lot that, Chris D says, always been more interested in listening than transmitting. And, maybe that's why I don't have my AM call, basically. I've never really, Toom says, Jill is our shortwave leader. Yes, follow the leader. Buy me an ICOM R8600, please. And do like, I'm going to do a country like North Korea where everybody needs to listen to shortwave in order to stay on. And basically, that's going to be the interesting part. I think that's going to be good. So, yeah, MRAD88, the November list is coming in 48 hours. Don't worry, it's really been worked on. It's updated to 98%, I can tell you. But so I'm starting a new country. It's like I don't know, the People's Democratic Country of Shortwave. So the I don't know what there's the so there's the Democratic People's Republic of Korea or something. So the Democratic People's Republic of Shortwave, the DPRS, the Democratic People of Shortwave or something. That's going to be a good one. Everybody has to have a shortwave radio. Ah, man. Neil Toom says it's because of Brexit we are closer to you now. Okay. Florian SSL, nice to have you on board. Salut. Pretty cool to have. The Democratic Republic of Shortwave. That's a good one. And you know what? We could buy one of those little islands in the Caribbean. So like that, it's always going to be sunny and warm. And, shortwave, one of the first rules of the country will be shortwave radio for everybody. So anybody that becomes, that is accepted on the island, first thing that you do is we give them a shortwave radio. That would be good. Oh, man. Oh, that is nice. Democratic Republic of DX. That's the one, Carol. The DPDX. The Democratic People's Republic of DX. That would be good. So, I don't know. If we got one of the islands in the St. Lawrence, you're going to find it cold in the wintertime. Oh, man. I gotta say. Hi Mapper says, Jill, I'm in. Whatever the Republic will be. Cool, no problem. Pretty cool. Yeah, of course the language is part of the deal. You know, of course, having in having the language in English does help to have that audience. That's true, but still, you know, there's a lot of English language speakers out there. But yeah, the language does help. By the way, where's DX the cat? I'm gonna go see because he was outside and it's like a little cold. I'm just gonna go for a few seconds, guys. I'm gonna go see if DX, by any chance, wants to come back inside. I was about to forget him outside. So let's check out our little DX the cat here. See where he is. And well, doesn't seem to want to come in, so. To be seen, so I don't know if he's had a cutout because basically did go outside. But no DX the cat to be seen for now. So he's probably enjoying, and I hope he is enjoying the nice weather because DX the cat's going to be one hell of a surprise cat when he sees the snow on Monday. So sorry guys for the little moment here. And yeah, that's the good one. RC Orlando, you got it. An ICOM R8600 for everyone in the new Republic of DX. So that will be the Viva la DX revolution. That's going to be a good one. Yes, I have heard of the Yaesu VR5000 communications receiver. I've seen several reviews of it that seem to give it a really nice, a very high grade. And it does seem to be one of the good receivers. It's a little expensive though, if I remember well. But I've seen 2 or 3 reviews of it. And it is, from what I've seen, it seems like a really, really neat radio. So I don't know. Okay, what else do we have here? Sorry guys, I'm a little in pain. For the past 2 days, I've been having a pain in my left leg, and it's kind of annoying me a little right now while I'm doing the show. So where's the cat? Hey, Mark Voisin, nice to have you on board, and he's still outside, probably going around. So I have no problem with Southern Illinois says, are you okay about Americans smuggling in radios from Canada? I got absolutely no problem with that. Smuggle all the radios you want, guys. I got no problems with that. So you're watching the live Shortwave show, and there's a pirate right now on 5150 kilohertz, being heard pretty well here, and enjoying my fin du monde beer while we're doing the live show. We got a few questions. Today's going to be a questions and answer thing. One of the things that I wanted to answer some of the, a lot of newbie questions that I think it's always nice. People sometimes say, well, why you revisit newbie stuff? And you got to remember that a lot of my viewers are new viewers and are newbies and just don't understand necessarily all very well everything. So, I think it's cool to have some. It's cool to have to go back into some of the newbie stuff a little bit from time to time. So one of the questions that I had this week, and it seems that a lot of people don't understand. First of all, it's the 2-part question. One is, you've been talking about on one of my videos of showing 10-meter signals, and I'm talking about sporadic E-skip. And so the questions that come, and this is from Tim, which is one of the viewers of my videos. and he says, "Hey, what is sporadic e-skip, and why do you mention that it's better in why do you think it's better in in the summer or at certain periods of time?" So sporadic e-skip is a very, very unique phenomenon. It's very, very densely ionized patches of the ionosphere, and it's not totally clear exactly why they happen. And that's one of the reasons that we're not, yes, they tend to be better in June, July, a little bit in August. There's another patch that seems to be there around December, January, but not understanding 100% why they are happening. It's not totally clear. I've noticed personally with the years of radio listening that they often tend to appear when there's a lot of thunderstorms and when it's really hot in the summer. So, I wouldn't be surprised that intense thunderstorms maybe ionize the ionosphere in some way. So it could be related to the weather in some part. And it could be, there's a lot that I've read some interesting articles about how sporadic e-skip can sometimes even be happen because of meteorites that go into the atmosphere and that trigger some kind of phenomenon with our upper atmosphere that makes these clouds of ionized particle appear. One of the things that you got to know is that they are very intensely ionized. So usually when it happens, you'll get 10-meter propagation. You'll get even 6-meter. I've heard many times in the summer, last summer, 50 megahertz signals on 6 meters thanks to sporadic e-skip. Now, I do say that it's usually a better phenomenon in the summer. There's apparently a little patch in December, January. But you know what? You got to just remember one thing. It can happen anytime. So you should check for sporadic e-skip any time of the year because you never know when it can happen. But it's just that for some reason there are more patches of ionized sporadic E in the summertime. You also ask how long they would last. Well, you know what? I've heard sporadic e-skip last anywhere from 15 minutes. It's there. You hear signals. There's tons of signals. 15 minutes later, it's gone, and there's no more signals. I've heard sporadic e-skip last days. I remember one summer night listening to some sporadic e-skip around 9 p.m. local time. And then all through the night, it was jam-packed with signals on 10 meters. And then there would be, and the next morning I woke up and it was still going on strong. And it lasted like 2 or 3 days in a row that it was almost permanent. And then suddenly one day I woke up, it was gone. There was no more sporadic e-skip. So it's a very interesting phenomenon, and it's part of what of the very, very peculiar things that you hear and that you have on propagation. And it's cool. It's one of those cool things that it's like, wow, this is, and it's not fully explained. And that's why amateur radio operators exist. You got to remember that an amateur radio operator is an experimental station. It still is in 2016 an experimental station. And amateur radio operators and of course the listeners are there to make that knowledge even more interesting, learn more about ways of propagation of signals and why such and such phenomenon exists. So who knows? 6320 apparently a pirate, probably a Euro pirate. So I would guess. 6501 upper sideband, that is from either, these are weather. Here we go.
Sunday. West and northwest winds 20 to 13 knots.
This is a maritime weather broadcast. This is from Virginia, Chesapeake, Virginia. And they broadcast marine forecasts from the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. So there are a few stations. There's WLO in Mobile, Alabama. There's one in California. There's one in Seattle, Washington. This one is, I believe, the Chesapeake. I think it's NMG or something like that, the call sign from Chesapeake, Virginia. So it's packing a pretty good signal here, 6501. And there's probably an 8 megahertz frequency that I don't remember. So maritime weather broadcast right now, 6501 upper sideband. So 6501 IMAPper upper sideband. You might actually get it. So One Time Pad's got 6501 in Dublin. Cool. So that's from Chesapeake, Virginia. And Mark Voisin's got it S9 and 59 in northern Maine. So yeah, it's pretty close, northern Maine. So you're not very far from Montreal, basically. And Bullfrog 89 says I had to put some new batteries in the UTC clock. Thanks for having yours in the background. So well, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And there's a lot of signals and a lot of stuff to listen on shortwave, that's for sure. Okay, let's check it out here. Check it out here. Okay, anybody on email? Just make sure I'm not missing out on anybody. So the email's okay. So, okay. Okay, Mad Boy's got something, 6501. What's the station on 6170? It's probably Romania. Yeah, this is Radio Romania. 6170 is Radio Romania. Oh, and Carol T says 8643 in CW is Morse code bulletin. Not receiving it here, fortunately. So let's go back to the Pirate on 5150. Pirate station still going on 5150 kilohertz AM mode. So really cool. So yeah, Alan Schofield, 6170 is Radio Romania International. Usually packs a good signal there also. Okay, time to open up the second beer. You are watching the Shortwave show, coming to you from lower sideband. 8643. I'm going to try it again, but I might not receive it. I didn't receive anything. I'm not hearing anything yet. And by the way, for those that don't know, KPH, the maritime station in California, is now back on the air with weather bulletins on the weekends. So Saturday and Sunday only. KPH is a good old maritime station that was one of those that left the airwaves when they had a lot of compression in the budget, and many maritime stations got off the air at the same time in the 90s and early 2000s. And thanks to some funding, KPH is back on the air from California on weekends, so Saturdays and Sundays. So that's pretty cool. So really nice. IMAPper says no signal on 6501 in Moscow, of course, but I visit Virginia and DC 1 or 2 times a year, so the frequency is interesting. Yeah, it's they have a few times a day that they have their broadcast on several frequencies. There's it's 6501. There's another one in the 8 megahertz, another one in I think is 11 or 13 megahertz, or maybe 12 megahertz. Sorry. So they have several frequencies that they use. So if you just if you Google maritime coastal weather stations on shortwave, you will see full schedules of all the stations across the United States that broadcast on shortwave. So hello there, John Young. WTWW on 9930 selling H1N1 virus prevention kits right now. Wow, that sounds to me like Alan Wiener selling all his stuff, because apparently we're about to be in a war, and we'll have a war against our governments, from what I've learned. And you know, that guy, I don't know, it always makes me laugh. Always makes me laugh a little bit. So maritime stations are you know, scattered across, and so they send out bulletins. There's also I believe it's WLO that sends out these Navtex digital bulletins, also in the 8 megahertz. Hey, Nissan Greenwich says 11175 is active in Dublin. Let's check it out. 11175 is that US. Yeah, there was something just a few seconds ago. So 11175 is the global command here. The global command frequency for the United States Air Force. They often have messages on 11175. I believe the other frequency 8992 and 15016. These are frequencies to sometimes stay put. You know, it happens sometimes that I just leave the radio there on one of those and wait for MDK2. Yeah, I did say WTWW. Did I say WBCQ? I think it was it's an error from my part. It was WTWW. That's I thought that's what I said. I know that it's not WBCQ, but I could have made a mistake while Scotty Tier 6. Aussie Orlando, is my clock a atomic clock? Or no, I set it manually. It's not an atomic clock. I'd love to have an atomic clock of this size, though. I really would like that. But this one is set manually. Every time I do the show, I just listen to WWV and make sure that it's accurate to the second. Scotty Tier 6 says WBCQ 7490 coming in like gangbusters, Toronto. Let's just try it out. WBCQ. Nothing here. But WBCQ is very close to Montreal. It's closer to Montreal than Toronto, so I'm not surprised. It probably propagates right over me. It rarely is a good frequency here in Montreal, 7490. I'll have WBCQ usually more like at on 5130. And also the one that comes in quite well in Montreal is that experimental 3250 kilohertz frequency. So, but I'd like to have a clock like that is set automatically. What else do we have here? Yeah, Alan Wiener Worldwide. That thing is just so funny when you think about it. Okay, what else do we have in questions as we go on through the show? Okay, somebody wanted me to talk a little bit about the RTL SDR. So, you know, anything like this little dongle here, which is a, these dongles are made technically for, you know, receiving HD TV, but some guy found a way with a little driver to make it a wideband receiver, and some of them are actually made even for HF. And these are very inexpensive and are very cool to play around and see what you can hear. And so basically, it's what we. Okay, first of all, why do we call it RTL SDR? Because RTL is the chipset. The chip inside this is a Realtek. RTL is for Realtek, the company that makes the chip for the HD TV part of this. But it's a receiver. And with a proper driver that you install, this becomes a radio, a wideband radio. And basically, this combined with a special driver, combined with a software like SDR Sharp or HD SDR, or there are many other ones, becomes a radio. And why do we call it an SDR? Because, sorry, I'm about to cough here. We call it an SDR because this is a radio, but because it doesn't have any controls, any knobs, any display, we use a computer to do that. And that's why SDR means software-defined radio or software-defined receiver. So that means that's the radio part, and the computer is basically the controls part. On your computer screen, you see the frequency, you see you have all the knobs like a real radio basically. But because this is very flexible and a computer is extremely flexible, you have more control over this than you have over, say, a receiver like this. A receiver like this has fixed bandwidth, and there's nothing I can do to change this except maybe, remove the filters and change it with something else, which is cumbersome and complicated. And even then, you have very fixed bandwidths. This, because everything is done in software, everything is done in basically the computer, you have full control over almost anything. And that is why these are getting very popular. Now, this is the cheap part. This is the cheap part. But there are more expensive parts. Like, for example, here I've got one that is a Soft 66. The Soft 66 basically is this. It's pretty much the same chip, the RTL chip. But it adds a down converter that has shortwave capability. And so it actually is surprising. This is $10, shipping included on eBay. And you've got basically a scanner, a police scanner if you want. You got a VHF, UHF receiver. Like KC-135R says, it uses the RTL dongle for tracking aircraft. That's one part. You can listen to your airports. You can listen to, if you're not encrypted, you can listen to the local police. These are pretty surprising little devices for what they are and for the price paid. And then you've got more expensive ones. The Soft 66 is more like a $40 device, $50 device. It is with down converter, so it adds shortwave capabilities. And as you go up in price, there's the SDR Play, and there's a lot of stuff that adds to it that becomes, makes it even more interesting, because the radio part in here is very simple. So it has flaws that, of course, the only way that you can fix the flaws would be to have one that is more, more expensive, because it has extra parts that makes the receiver better. And so as you pay more for an SDR, usually you also have better reception. And it works with a computer. It's really cool. And, it even works with a phone like this. You can actually plug this on I can plug it on my Galaxy S7 phone and have a receiver and listen to VHF, UHF signals on my my phone, my smartphone. So it truly becomes a portable device. So the thing is, you have to set it up. One of the things, maybe the negative thing about RTL dongles is the fact that if you're not very good with computers and don't understand much about computers, it can be a little complicated for you to actually use one. And basically, you have to understand a little bit of, the computer side to have fun with these devices. So that's one thing you got to know. But if you're not, if you're okay with computers, you can, play around with these, and it's pretty surprising, basically, what you'll get in reception. And I got to say, I am amazed. My Soft 66 that I can't show you because it's plugged to the antenna here, and it's kind of complicated to take it out. The Soft 66, I got to say, is for $40, an amazing receiver. And it always surprises me at how well it can receive signals, even though it's so cheap. So, of course, one of the things that you might have, basically, what you might have is the interference from a PC that could be a problem. So sometimes you got to play around with the dongles, and you got to understand a little more. So yes, computer noise it depends on a computer. With a good cable, with a computer where the power supply in the computer itself doesn't do too much noise. I gotta say, it's quite surprising at how low the noise level can be, even on such a device. And yes, I would say that my Soft 66, for example, has a little more noise than this receiver when used with the PC. But I gotta say that it's manageable. And by playing around. Sorry, guys. By playing around with the cables and the shielding a little bit, it's pretty surprising what you can actually come up with. So yeah, like one type pad says, a crappy generic unshielded Chinese charger will wreck the signal. That's true. You gotta have a good power supply, and everything needs to be pretty good. Just quickly, I don't know if some of you had a cutout of the video, but I just had a little flash in the software here that says that everybody was like gone for a few seconds and then came back. So I don't know if there was a problem with the video feed. If I look here, everything seems to be okay in what I have, but maybe there was a cutout for a few seconds there. So hey, it's pretty cool. And iMapper says, one time Pat, beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. So how the signal gets into the SDR, John Young, through an antenna connector. I'm just gonna, here this one has an antenna connector right here. But hey, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna remove the cable from my Soft 66, and here we go. So here we go. This is the Soft 66. This one has a down converter for shortwave. So if you're used to my channel, I've posted a few videos of reception with this. So when you see the computer screen with the software, this is my shortwave receiver. So here you've got that RTL part. This here is typically the same thing that this is. But the circuit board underneath that is bigger is the down converter. That adds the shortwave capability on this. So you see here, these are two antenna connectors. So basically you plug in, why there are two? Because one is for shortwave or HF, one is for VHF, UHF. And there's a little switch on the board to switch for what signal I want to hear. And basically you just add to it a USB cable. So the signal gets in from the antenna connectors You just put an antenna on this, and this USB cable goes to my computer and brings me the joys of VHF, UHF, and shortwave radio listening. So it's a radio. I get tons of people saying, well, you shouldn't have these on your channel because that's not radio. Yes, it is. This is a radio. This is the radio part. It's a radio. It's just that you need a computer to control it. It's the only difference. And these are not expensive at all. So it's very, very, very interesting and very easy. So it is really, yeah, Austin Orlando. You can use SDR. Here, I'm going to give you a demonstration. Just to give you guys a little demonstration, I'm going to use the, where did I put the, okay, here's the part, that little part here goes here. So that's the dongle. Here's the thing, guys. I'm going to put the, I'm just going to remove the case here, because I can't put it with the case on my Galaxy phone. But here it goes. So Galaxy S7 phone. I shove the RTL dongle, so you see the light. And now, I'm going to go get the software, which is SDR Touch. And there we go. I'm just getting SDR Touch right here. Look at that. And if I turn it on, basically, I click OK. And there we go. Now, it's just static because there's no antenna right now on it, but it's on 162.55. So you can see here, I'm actually tuned to a VHF frequency on the phone. You can see it here. And so when I start it and when the antenna is plugged in, I have full reception of VHF, UHF signals with this. And of course, I could do the same with my Soft 66. So if I remove this part, for example, let me just go out here. And here we go. And I'm going to put the Soft 66 one. I just put the Soft 66 on the adapter, and you'll see that the light will actually show up here. So I just plug it in. Here we go. And look at that. The green lights give power. All I have to do, once again, is to get my SDR Touch software, and I could tune around. And so now I'm receiving VHF, but I can actually also put the settings in here for the down converter and listen to shortwave via just the phone. So it becomes a portable receiver, just the phone. This is a portable shortwave radio suddenly. It's a portable scanner, VHF, UHF. So with SDR Touch. Only thing that you got to understand is that this uses a lot of power. So the battery on your phone is really going to drop really fast. That's just the negative side of using your phone to do that. But it works great. And it's a cool thing to do. So, yeah, I do have a metal case for my my Soft 66, but I rarely use it. I like the coolness of seeing the circuit board. And like Sandman X says, he uses SDR Touch on his Galaxy S4 with the Soft 66. Eats power like mad. That is true. So, it's pretty cool. And the software is free. I think there's a limit, though. I paid for the software to get no limits. But it's really cool. It's a really cool thing. And you can listen to shortwave on your portable phone. You can listen to VHF, UHF signals, and just have fun. So, maybe I can do a demonstration here if you guys want to see it. I'm going to plug the shortwave antenna back on it. Here goes. Maybe I can do a little demonstration of something. Let me just tune in. So I'm going to have to remove the settings. So now it's in regular convert mode. If I go here, just have to remember how to set it up. So offset. And here the offset is 50 megahertz, I believe. Now, I'm just going to tune in to jump. I don't know, let's try 6 megahertz. I don't know if I did it right because I'm doing a little fast right now. Let me just check it out here. If I tune in, say OK. So do I have change mode for AM? So you have the modes here. Lower sideband, upper sideband, CW. You just choose the modes that you want. And so let me just check here. The offset is OK, 50 megahertz. Set. I'm just gonna offset 50 megahertz. Set. Here we go. And if I jump to a frequency range, I'm gonna go to 6,000 kilohertz. Set. No, it doesn't seem to work like I want right now because I'm going too fast. But basically, you know, you can tune around your shortwave, and it's really nice to use. Anyways, so anyway, check the channel. I've got a few reception, and you know what? I'm gonna keep it like this, and I'm gonna do some shortwave signals video this weekend and put it on the channel so you guys could see receiving different stations using the phone, basically. So yeah, well, the casing for the heat really, you know, the Soft 66 is a very hot. It becomes extremely hot. It's part of how it works, and actually, the Soft 66 has a drift. As it's getting warm, it drifts about I'd say about 100 hertz. Sorry, not kilohertz. About 100 hertz, from, you know, anywhere from 50 to 100 hertz. So it moves around a little bit the frequency, but it does stabilize. And even the, you know, the ones that come in the casing, often I've seen they're not really working well with the casing. But the case that I have, what I did is I made sure that the RTLs, where everything comes hot, is touching the metal frame of the box so that the heat dissipates. And it does make less of a drift, I gotta say. But works really well, and it's pretty amazing. Battery time on using SDR on the phone, Southern Illinois. I probably have, I'd say an hour and a half, 90 minutes. Approximately 90 minutes. It does drop real fast, you know, maybe 2 hours, but I haven't tested it long enough to give you a full time frame, but I don't think you got more than a 90 minutes to an hour if you don't have any way to power the device, for sure. So, you know, Mark Wazin says, have the RTL SDR plus up converter on my own PC and it works great. Hooked to a discount and 100-foot long wire. So, you know, that's cool. And Joe PL552 says he's got the RTL SDR V3. Pretty good for $20, but too many images. I have to use it with a short antenna or it overloads. Oh, but don't use it with a short antenna. Keep your length of antenna. Play with the RF gain. There won't be any images if you limit the RF gain of the device. You need to set the RF gain in the software, because if you put it full, because, you know, everybody's gonna say, oh, I want it really, you know, to be the maximum sensitivity. Not a good idea. You set it at a specific length. Another thing that you have to know is your RTL, your version 3, it has an RF gain screw. You need a small screwdriver to adjust it. Don't put that full maximum. You will not get good reception. You will put it at about, mine is at around 60%. At 60%, coupled with a long wire, and in the software, the RF gain set at maybe, depending on the frequency, it depends, you know, on higher frequencies, I can push the RF gain higher. On lower frequencies, as I get close to the medium wave band, I will put the RF gain lower. And you'll be able to have 100 feet wire on that. It's going to work. You're pushing the RF gain too far, my friend. Lower. You will have the RF gain set correctly. Ray Kelly, nice to have you on board. He's got the SDR play that he loves and finds really, really nice. So pretty cool. Dax Power 74, nice to have you on board. And yeah, I saw that Bullfrog 89 Hack RF 1 megahertz 6 gigahertz. But you know, how good is the coverage of that full range? That's another story, basically. So basically, that's the thing. Philip Briggs says, I'm interested to try SDR Play or ACK RF. Must be much better than the TV dongle with down converter, although it is pretty good for the price. Yeah, well, I believe the SDR Play still has a down converter on it, but it's a better quality system. It's a better quality system. So, you know, it's like I said earlier, when you pay more for your SDR, of course, you'll have more quality in the electronics. So, well, I don't know. Single Hunter says, you know, I know a lot of folks that SDR RTL, but I hate it. He says his is for sale because it's not like Shortwave. It depends on you. You know what? It really, really depends a lot on what is Shortwave for you, because, yeah, I do understand some people don't like. You know, I like to have it because it brings something interesting to Shortwave, which is my love of computers and technology and my love of radio into together, and that's kind of cool. I love the flexibility. I love the way that it works. I think it's nice. But if you had to give me a choice between having a good old receiver like this or having for the rest of my life an SDR, I'm going to say I want to have this and I don't want to have the SDR because I do love that better. So it depends on everybody. Everybody is, you know, yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot of. That is true that there's not a lot of software for SDRs on the Mac. It's very limited compared to the Windows operating system. Same for iPhone. You know, you've got SDR Play on the Android phones, but there's nothing on the iPhone to have that working. So, and yes, the SDR Play is a good radio for 150. I do agree. So, interesting. So, you know, it's for the price that it is, you know, it's just cool, and it's just fun to play with, and there's so many possibilities, and it has another dimension to the hobby. Hey, David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board, and pretty cool to have everybody here. And yes, there is a gain adjustment on SDR Sharp. You should have one. Check your settings correctly, and don't put the RTL gain to automatic. You have a gain adjustment in Soft 60 SDR Sharp. I have used SDR Sharp with it, and yes, you have a gain adjustment. You have not found the correct gain adjustment. That probably haven't found the place where it is, because yes, you do have adjustment for your gain in SDR Sharp. Check it out. Vintage Phil, hello. Yeah, I do have a few RTL SDR setup videos, by the way. If you look at my channel and just put RTL or SDR, I have a few videos that's showing you how to install the driver and how to set up both SDR Sharp and HD SDR to have it working. So check it out. So what else do we have here? Okay, but be very careful on the RF gain. If you have pushed the RF gain to the maximum, you will have overloading and images everywhere on that. That's the worst thing. The worst thing. SG2 in Nebraska says using SDR Play, SDR Uno, which is another combination that works great and that a lot of people have fun with. So, you know, it all depends on how much you want to spend in in SDRs, and I can tell you, basically that's the it's the fun of just radio and all the possibilities. So what else do we have here? Hey, VA2XMX Petro, hello and welcome, and no problem. It's quite all right. I understand that everybody has its little thing that you need to do. So it's always a little complicated, and our lives, it's not just there's not just me. What is recommended antenna for SDR? Same types of antennas that you'll use for any types of receiver. It's a radio. So any type of radio you have that is wideband, you think of the same types of antennas for your SDR. Pretty much the same thing. So, depending on how you're going to use it. So really depending on how you're going to use it. And so check the channel. There are a few videos showing how to set up your SDR using the software. Could you put the SDR outside and run a long USB line to prevent signal loss to home? No, because technically USB cables are not meant to be very long. And because there's a lot of data going through that USB cable, it's not really a good idea to have a very long USB cable running it. You will be better off having a traditional, regular USB cable with it, and have the line coming in from outside. Now, one of the things you got to know is that on the signal loss is more on the like UHF in higher frequencies. Because on HF shortwave, even a long cable, a long antenna cable, doesn't give you a lot of loss. Where the loss is very important is when you get in the UHF range above 400-500 megahertz. Now that's where you get a lot of loss, and you're better off buying good quality cable to have the signal get into your receiver than having a long USB cable, because USB is not meant to be much longer than about 2-3 feet. When you get longer than 3 feet in USB, the loss is so big that you'll have problems with that, especially with a thing like that sends tremendous amounts of data. Remember that most USB cables aren't really very shielded. Most of them are not really well shielded. They're not meant for being very long. That's for sure. So what else do we have here? Hey F4GBE Adrien, salut. Nice to have you on board from France. Pretty cool. And Ray Kelly uses the same external long wire on his SDR and that he uses on his traditional radios. And that's exactly the same thing. I've got my sloper on my SOP 66. Same thing here. It's really a It's a radio. Think of it as a radio. There's no difference in the antennas you're going to use on the SDR that you have on anything else. Hey, Bullseye, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Pretty cool to have everybody here, and really nice as we're having our shortwave show for a Saturday, and we are located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. What else do we have? F4 GBE, Adrien was watching the live docking of the Soyuz with the International Space Station. I do that very often. And this is something I like to watch, all the docking procedures, or when they come back to Earth, or when they go to the International Space Station. It's always cool. On NASA TV Live, it's always fun. These are things that I enjoy watching. So, what else do we have? Okay, we have questions. We have a nice audience tonight. It's pretty cool. Hello to everyone watching. On the email side, we have Robert in the state of New Mexico. He's in Roswell, New Mexico, and he's enjoying the show, saying it's very interesting. And he didn't know, he says he's pretty new to the hobby, didn't know there were some receivers that you could plug into a computer, and that you could use your computer as your for the controls, and he finds it very interesting, and he's wondering if maybe he's going to try something like that. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money, these can be very cheap. It depends on what quality you want to have in the device, but Soft 66 has the advantage of being cheap, brings you to the start of that hobby, and if you like it and enjoy it, then you can invest in something more expensive. In radio and a lot of the hobbies, I always say, okay, don't buy the cheapest thing, but don't invest too much in it, because just in case you won't like it, and basically if you do, then you can invest much more and start that hobby. So thanks for being here. Greetings. It's always nice to have everybody here. What else do we have here? F4GB, he was listening on 143.625 for the ISS. Yes, it is often. The Bullfrog 89, the International Space Station broadcasts regularly. They have several VHF frequencies you can hear. They also have some amateur radio stuff that you can listen to. Sometimes they send slow scan television pictures and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool for that also. And it's always interesting. And you can listen to the international. There's the ARIS program, of course, where amateur radio stations also sometimes will, from the International Space Station, contact some schools. And I've heard a few times direct contact, especially when they were contacting schools in the northern United States. So I could hear the station when it was passing overhead. You just need to know when it's crossing over where you live in order to listen to. But yep, you can listen to a lot of things on the International Space Station. It is interesting, and there's a nice SG2 East Nebraska says NASA is launching the GeoSR satellite. Yeah, that's the new weather satellite that they are launching, that will apparently improve weather forecasts a lot. So that's pretty nice, and that will it's one of those really cool things. So what else do we have? I love the movie Contact. It's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. The girl. Actually, this week there was a interesting one. there was a on a website that I went through, there was like the 25 most best movies that nobody cares about. There was something like that, and they were saying how in that list they had Contact, and they said that movie, a lot of people don't really care. Most people don't remember it much. But it's one of the great movies that were made, and I agree. Contact is a great movie. The radio side to it also. She's an amateur radio operator, and she likes to listen, manually to the, maybe some kind of signal from space and everything. So it is actually a great movie for that. It has a nice side to it, and. Hello there, 1990 Sunbird. Nice to have you on board. Always cool to have everybody here. And yeah, of course, the colder days also brings in the crowd. That is true. But I've got a pretty steady crowd. I've noticed in the past year, basically, the shows this year, they rack in a good crowd most of the time. So it's pretty cool. Most of the shows give. Get about 1,000 views in about 2 to 3 days, which is nice. Almost every show I do gets to 1,000 views in about 3 days, which is very, very nice for just after the show is recorded. So it seems there's some interest in that. People like it. It's fun. It's fun to do. Yep, you can get. John Young says you can get email alerts when the internet space station, the International Space Station crosses overhead your location if you want. That is true. And it is time to bring out the radios, that's for sure. Like, they're announcing some snow here, and one of the things that I love in the winter time is, when there's a snowstorm and stuff like that, there's something cool about, watching the snow, the blizzard outside, and listening to Shortwave and taking it easy, Yeah, with Jodie Foster. Contact is a great movie. 741, nice to have you on board. It's true. It's a really, really great movie. Contact is great. Okay. Yeah, the usual idiot thumbs down that just wanted to make sure that he puts in his vote that he doesn't like what I do. It's the usual. And we usually get like 2 or 3. It's so funny that people take the time to do that. It's just, it's a waste of time. Who cares? Okay, what else do we have in our questions? Okay, I've got Marco that sent me a message saying that he's bought a Texan PL 880. And he wants to know, where is the CB band in that spectrum? The CB band is on 27 megahertz. It's typically between 26,965 all the way to 27,405. All the 40 CB channels are there. And that's pretty much where you'll hear the official CB band. But there's a lot of out of banders that are typically anywhere from 26 to 28 megahertz. So there's a lot of stuff to listen there in single sideband. In FM, also in Europe, you guys in Europe have FM on your CB band, which is not really much here in North America. So it's interesting. So 27 megahertz, the CB band, that's pretty much cool, Hey there, Mark Schmidt from Maine. Nice to have you on board as usual. And hope you are well, my friend. Yeah, not bad. It's 72. We're reaching 72 in the counter here of live feed people watching. That's actually not bad at all when you think about it. So, yeah, Ray, it's, I don't know, kind of funny. Somebody that takes the time to do that. It is he is a loser, that I can say. Okay, what else do we have here? We have... hello there, Tora. Nice to have you on board, as usual. Always cool to have everybody. And we're having fun talking about radio. We're already 2 hours and 40 minutes into the show. Every time I do these shows, I'm always surprised at how fast these shows go by. So let's check out any Pirates. 5150 kilohertz. 5150 kilohertz. Pirate still on the air. So with some talk right now, 5150 kilohertz Pirate on the air at 5150. And let's check out if there's anything else in the Pirate bands right now. Nothing much more, but still there on 5150, the usual Pirate with relay. With some talk. 5150 kilohertz right now with some talk, so if anybody's listening in. It's a little bit in noise now, but pretty good. And, well, thank you, Tora, for the nice comments. It's always fun to make these shows, by the way. Okay, MDK2 says, I was hearing a faint signal on 6925 carrier is detectable, but the audio is rare. Yeah, it often happens. That the Pirates are just barely above the noise level. Hey, Canadian Pirate Shortwave. Thank you. Nice to have you on board. And thank you for the nice comment. Hey, JST300Z. Nice to have you on board also. Yep, that is true. Great shows go fast. Yeah. What else do we have here? Dax Funner 74. Yes, the Russian buzzer is still active on 4625 and 6998. So, I don't know if I can hear it now, but 4625 upper sideband. If I try to listen in, I'm hearing it right now. It's not very strong, but I'm hearing the buzzer and the noise right now on 4625 kilohertz upper sideband. So that means all you guys on the East Coast might hear it a little bit. It's weaker than I'm used to have it, but it's actually there. 4625 right now. The buzzer is still active. So that's your proof. Live. It's there on 4625 right now, and they're also on 6998. So pretty cool. Paolo's Records. Hey, nice to have you on board. And A440 from London. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, David says, my favorite movie is Apollo 13. Yeah, that is a great movie also. And especially, that what I like also is how how incredible and how close they were to dying. It's just amazing, when you think of everything they did and how they used their minds in making, that crew come back safely. That was amazing. Yeah, 4625 kilohertz upper sideband. It's apparently on 6998, but I've never heard 6998 also here. So Ray Kelly saying also that he's not heard 6998 at all. So I don't know. And so buzzer on 4625 kilohertz upper sideband, or what's also known as UVB76, making it right now. So pretty cool. I did not hear that the end is near for Vatican Radio shortwave service, but doesn't surprise me. Do you have any dates, Bullseye? I've not checked. It's it's sad because Vatican Radio is interesting. Very surprising because it does have a very interesting news service. And Vatican Radio is one of the stations I actually like. PLF says 6998 kilohertz heard on the U20 web SDR. So it's it's on, but I've never heard it here in North America, basically. So DX Place says 6998 always here in Europe. So nice, and pretty cool. Heard the buzzer in 4183 kilohertz once. From what I've heard, they often have kind of spurious and harmonics of all sorts. So sometimes people hear them in frequencies that they shouldn't. It's pretty surprising. On time pad says CW on 6998. 6.998. What do I hear when I tune in here? Got nothing here. Nothing much apart from that. So nothing really. Oh, 5150 kilohertz just left the shortwave, the air. So the pirate on 5150 is now gone. So the buzzer for 625. So interesting. Yeah, it could be that you're hearing CW from 7,000 kilohertz, just the 40-meter ham band. That's possible. And F4 GBE, Adrien says 4625 is coming in, but 6998 not coming in. MDK2 says, I've heard that rumor of Vatican Radio, but seen no confirmation. Okay, that's possible. Bullfrog89 says, I'd like to get more info from people in chat as well as Joe. Any recommendation for shortwave antenna, vertical or loop preferred? Technically, loops are lower noise. So if you get a loop, it often is better for noise. But it all depends. Vertical, I don't. If you're to put up a vertical, you're better trying to put up a long wire of some sort. But it works. I got a once that I tried a lot was a 102-inch CB antenna, and even though signals were not as strong, I got to say, it did surprise me at what I could receive on the radio with it. So yeah. No, unfortunately, you can't paste the link in the chat room on YouTube, MDK2. It doesn't let you do that. So, depends. Yeah, well, I would guess that it probably 6998 probably comes from the same place as 4625, which is somewhere in Russia. I don't remember the exact place, but somewhere in Russia, like somewhere out of Moscow. So, yes, Ray, exactly. I saw the posts of people hearing. Actually, there was the second harmonic of 4625. When you take the second harmonic, so you take 4625 times 2, it means 9250. And some people are hearing the buzzer on 9250 kilohertz, and which is the second harmonic of 4625. It happens very often. It does seem that their transmitters are not tweaked perfectly. So yeah, maybe it's a one-time pad. Like I said, maybe the CW is an amateur radio station on 7,000 kilohertz that you're hearing down. I'm trying to see here. Could be a CW signal also. You know, everything is possible. So I don't know if anybody else is hearing the CW on 6998. Yep, KR1ST and shortwave loop. There's a magnetic loop that you can build yourself. And the Walbrooks seem to be really, really amazing antennas. But yes, it is true that they are expensive. They are expensive. But everybody that has a Walbrook that I've seen seem to have really, really enjoy it. I'm going to have to get one someday, I can tell you that. So, basically, pretty cool. So, Dax Partners 74 says doesn't hear it in Germany. So, you know, interesting. Thank you, PLF, for the article. So if I look at the article from shortwavelistening.com, that is dated, when is that dated? I'm looking at a date, trying to find a date here. I don't see a date. Because, in effect, Vatican costs a great deal. It does not run advertising. Its revenues are paltry, and its numerous linguistic sections push to about 35 number of journalists, yeah, the payroll. It's a money thing. It's sad, but it's often a money thing. By December, in short, Vatican Radio will cease to exist as a self-contained reality. It will be incorporated into a single centralized content hub, a single center of multimedia production, text, images, audiovisual, and radio podcasts in multiple languages. So, from what does that mean? There are two visions, but the matching route appears to have been marked out already. In Africa, where internet access is sporadic, they say that they want to bring the Pope's message in 44 countries by cell phone through an app. So basically, what they're saying here is by December, apparently, Vatican Radio would cease to exist on shortwave or some form, and just be some online thingy, like a lot of stations tried. And I don't know. We're gonna have to check that out. Will Vatican Radio leave their shortwaves in December? That would be sad. I gotta say, if they do so, it would be really, really sad. So I hope not. I hope not. JLPL552 says mini whip antennas. You know, that's what the University of Twente is using, a mini whip, and it seems to be pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I gotta say, it seems to be amazing for what it is also. So we're gonna have to check that out, because I gotta say, if Vatican Radio leaves the airwaves, that would be sad. It's one of the stations I would miss, even though it's kind of difficult to receive in North America lately. I've received a few times, but it's not as good. You know, it's mostly to Africa, the transmissions, and so. So, hey, take care, my one-time pad friend. You know, I understand that you have to work early tomorrow morning. Thank you for being here. You know, without you guys, the show wouldn't be here anyway. I wouldn't talk to myself. Well, maybe one day I'll talk to myself, but that's when I'm going to be in the old people's home, probably. Although I sometimes talk to myself when I'm alone, so maybe I'm just nuts. I don't know. David says, I built a mini whip for the car. The design can be Googled. Works quite well on his Com Radio CR1. Huh. So, yeah, Carol, don't mention that guy. Carol says, if Vatican Radio leaves, just another frequency for Brother Stare. Oh, please, no. He's got enough frequencies right now. We don't need more Brother Stare. We need more of anything else. I don't know, maybe WRMI should contact Vatican Radio and say, look, we could relay your Vatican Radio programs. And, it's going to cost less money. I don't know. They should do that, maybe. So, hey. Oh, let's hope that it doesn't. Let's hope that it doesn't. I really would like to. Oh my God. Wow. That's a radio. KNL Networks communication system relies on shortwave radio transmissions. Wow. So, let's cross our fingers. I'm going to take a listen and we'll see if they leave or not. But it would be bad. It would be bad to really, have Vatican Radio go away. It's surprising because Vatican Radio news service is actually, if you take out the Pope said this and the Pope said that part of the news bulletin, they actually have one of the great news bulletins in letting us know what's happening in Africa. It's actually one of the best, if not the best. When you listen to, BBC Africa's good. I've heard Radio France African service is good. But I got to say, Vatican Radio's service is extremely surprising in its news for what's happening in Africa. They are really, really aware of what's happening. I can tell you that. There's a signal on 6998.5. It's not CW, but just a single short tone every few minutes. Let's check it out. Are you in CW, sideband, AM? What mode are you using on 6998.5? Trying to listen here. I'll leave it on, but I'm not hearing anything right now. So maybe it's closer to you in the West Coast there. So, upper sideband? Okay, I'll just put it upper sideband here. Oops. Sorry. 6.9985 upper sideband. We'll see if we hear something. For now, I'm not hearing anything. And it's kind of interesting. So that would be sad. That would be. I think that's a loss of Vatican Radio. Vatican Radio changed so much through the years from the 80s, where it was basically only Pope news. They've really, really gone into a full news service, and that's pretty surprising. So that would be sad. And we are at almost 3 hours of show already. That's pretty incredible when you think about it. 3 hours of show, and you're watching the Shortwave show from Montreal. So from pretty much what everybody's been telling me, we're going to keep 2000 hours UTC for our time. Yes, that I've seen. PLF, by the way, the BBC World Service is launching 11 new language services on shortwave. So that is good news. It's not just shortwave; it's also for FM and all sorts of different medias. But part of it is shortwave. I think it's nice. So it's the first expansion. I think it's the first expansion of the BBC World Service since World War II, basically. So that's kind of interesting. They are focusing shortwave broadcasts through Africa and Asia. I think they're in this. Most of these big broadcasters understand one thing: shortwave has an importance. It is just that they're leaving the North America side to it, because most of these broadcasts are focusing on other areas. But The BBC, even the Voice of America, all of them are kind of really understanding that, you know what, we need to continue and focus our broadcast to Africa and Asia. There's that's kind of interesting also. And thanks for sharing PLF, because it's true that they are increasing their services. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation is also looking at increasing its languages, like for the Chinese audience, Indonesian audience, Pacific audience. So they are kind of focusing and trying to see what they can do. So, you know what? What's interesting here about, for example, Radio Australia, what it's pushing towards is that they're not ready to leave shortwave. The BBC, the Voice of America, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, they're not going to leave shortwave now. They see that there's an importance in broadcasting news for a lot of the audience in different parts. They're just focusing their audience to specific areas, though. So that's interesting. Hey, MDK2, it's nice to have you on board as usual. See you next time. Next show for radio is next Friday. Tuning the bands on shortwave. So it's going to be Friday at 2000 hours UTC. So yeah, there could be something on 6998.5. What else do we have here? F4GB, Adrien says just about Radio France and Inter on 162 kilohertz, closing its long wave service at the end of the year. Yeah, that's a trend in Europe, closing the long wave, medium wave stuff a lot. So David says, let's hope that CRI picks up Vatican radio frequency like they did with Radio Exterior España. I prefer 1,000 times China Radio International to Brothers there. Oh, I'm going to give you that. I rather hear China Radio. Me too. I can tell you that for sure. I can tell you that. Not hearing anything on 6998.5, by the way, here. So pretty cool. What else do we have here? Ray Lyle says, Brothers Stare on 100 frequencies by end of 2017. You know, like I always say, one of the positive points about Brothers Stare, very, very, very weak carry on 6925 over here. The good side of Brothers Stare is that it's actually bringing in cash to many stations, and it gives them the possibility, you know, like WRMI has a lot of cash coming from Stare, and it enables them to expand upon what else they're doing. You know, if tomorrow morning Brothers Stare's money for broadcasting stops, I think there are some stations that are going to be in financial difficulty. So, you know, yeah, it's annoying to hear Stare everywhere, but let's just think about the positive side of Brothers Stare being there, meaning at least, you know, money's getting into these shortwave transmitters, and they can maybe, you know, use part of that to do more, and that's at least the positive point here, for sure. So, Carol T says 6998 is in HF Underground, has it marked as a marker station unknown location. Yeah, it doesn't do any Morse code letters, Carol, because there's a lot of 6 megahertz, 4, 5, 6 megahertz frequencies that are Russian channel markers that send out just one letter. So that could be... Edwin Thomas, what is the Canadian official time frequency, shortwave frequencies now? The time station is 3330. So let's check it out here. 3.330. So 3330, 7850, and 14.670. I usually hear 3330 24 hours a day here. Only 7850 is sometimes audible, but these are the three frequencies. So, hey, Bullfrog89, take care. I'm probably not going to be on for very long. I'm almost over here. I'm slowly thinking about, making food and everything, but take care. It was nice to have you on board. 73's KD2CXU. And have a great weekend for you too. So, yeah, there are a lot of single letter beacons. By the way, what's nice is on the eibi.de, eibi-space.de website, a lot of these beacons are listed in the frequencies. There's a ton of Russian one-letter, single-letter frequencies. So, yeah, Tora says maybe the dollars aren't in shortwave anymore, but it is a very robust platform. Internet will show its fragility one day, and the shortwave will enjoy a resurgence. You know what's sad is because shortwave, when a country gets out of shortwave, the biggest problem that we have is that usually they will destroy the shortwave transmitters. And so getting back into shortwave is something that's almost impossible once they've left, because nothing's there anymore. Say Radio Canada International. As long as the transmitters were in Sackville, we could always say, oh, they might come back because transmitters are there. It isn't that difficult to switch them back on. And Radio Canada International, or the CBC, knew that. And the CBC made sure that the transmitters were wiped out of Sackville, New Brunswick, for that simple reason that, hey, if we destroy the transmitters, well, we won't be annoyed with RCI coming back. The CBC had a very, very bad way of thinking on that. It was almost like they were happy to have RCI just vanish from shortwave and not have to carry the burden of paying for all of that. So, that's the sad side. And I don't think, most stations that left shortwave for internet, pretty much every station saw that their audience dropped. That the audience that listens to shortwave is not the same audience that listens to the internet. So, unfortunately, that's what's happening. PLF says, I want to head to what a person say on the YouTube chat. France Inter, one of Radio France Radio, and not related to RF International, Radio France International. Yeah, France Inter is not related to Radio France International, that's true. And it will end the broadcast at the end of 2016 on 162 kilohertz. Man, 2,000 kilowatts. Imagine 2 megawatts. Just imagine the electricity bill out of a 2 megawatt transmitter. So, what am I going to eat? I'm not sure yet, because it's too long to cook a chicken and it's too long to cook roast beef tonight. So, I don't know. Guess I'm going to eat something really, really quick, or pasta or something. Yeah, Ray, Stephen Harper, you made damn sure that, RCI would not come back. I can tell you that. So, hey, Crystal. Yeah, it's cool. It's always cool to have everybody here. So, really, really, really nice. And Thomas Brogan says, I have to thank you, Joel. Your video reviews are like the Reader's Digest of radio reviews. A good example is your review of the Texan PL310. So thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. I tried to do my best. Hopefully in 2017 I'll have a few radios to review. That would be cool. Yeah, Ray Lyle. Radio event at Cuba has often low audio, or distorted audio or buzzing transmitters, they do have problems. They do have problems. So what's a Canadian fella eat for supper? Anything from, it could be fast food like pizza to, I don't know, I didn't start it. I almost did. I almost put the chicken in the oven at low heat. And I thought, well, if I do a 3-hour show or something, I can just leave the chicken cook and roast really slowly in the oven. And that's going to be real good after. But I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to eat right now. I can tell you that. Lobster and clams. Lobster. Get a burger or hot dog. Yeah, maybe something quick. Something like that. That would have been good. A few hamburgers would have been pretty nice. Yeah. Well, the CBC itself was really, really annoyed at RCI. Because what happened is that when it all started when first the Liberals decided that the RCI, instead of being the foreign affairs problem, decided, hey, we're going to push that Radio Canada International to the CBC. At the same time that the CBC had like $100 million budget cut. So you cut the budget and you add that you want Radio Canada International, which costs $16.5 million a year to run. And the CBC finally got kind of annoyed at Radio Canada International. They didn't want it. And so basically, when that happened, that was the start of slowly we're going off. But the problem was the CBC couldn't cut off RCI because in the Canadian law, it was written that an international shortwave service needed to stay on air. That's when Stephen Harper changed things. He cut the budget of CBC again, but he also changed the law to make sure that, oh, we don't require you to have an international voice anymore. So you can do what you want. That killed off the CBC. That was the last bit that made the CBC just, off the air. So basically it started with the Liberals and the way they handled this, and it ended with Stephen Harper just doing what was needed so that it would leave. So both the Liberals and the Conservatives are both to blame for CBC's removal of shortwave, or RCI, sorry. So, hello, Mbot. Nice to have you on board. Hello, Brother Hurt. Signals seem to be not too bad tonight, so I think I'm gonna turn on the radios and have some shortwave listening while checking out what kind of food. Unless I cook, a chicken takes about an hour and 45 minutes to cook, an hour 30 minutes. So I might just cook the chicken and eat something. I think that's going to be pretty good. So, hey, Joe Stokesbury. It's nice to have you on board. So, hey, guys, I'm going to pull the plug. We've been on for 3 hours and 10 minutes. Hope you enjoyed today's show. It was really nice to have everybody on board. We talked about so many shortwave stuff. I think it was cool. Hope you guys enjoyed. I want to say thank you to everyone. For those that are waiting for my shortwave frequency list, I will, in probably Monday at the latest, it's going to be available. I just want to make sure that a few frequencies that I've are right. So, no problem, TOT. Yeah, why not? I'm going to go over for sausage. Cool. So, good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. It was always, as usual, nice to have all of you on board. Bye-bye. See you next Friday, 2000 hours UTC, and tune the bands. Bye.